What am I looking at?
Oh, sometimes it takes a second.
I'm still worthy. Oh boy.
Greetings, exiles. Now, it turns out many of you love seeing that massive CoC discharge in the previous video, be it new players from PoE 2 or later leagues in PoE 1 who never really saw the glory days of Fakener. Again, welcome to Path of Exile, and shout out to the vets who played it back in the day. But one of the most commonly requested features was a truly budget, newbie-friendly version of Discharge that wouldn't be too difficult to assemble, and this is that video. And not everyone is ready to jump into 10 or even 5 div builds and pursue 15 div per hour strats. I think we all kind of forget we may once have been scrapping together a level 85 or 90 character with 150 chaos to their name, and this video is for this new audience. Now, I tested this setup on my own character, and then I ripped into the bad parts and tested it and refined it on a second character to make sure it would work for you. With a budget of 210 chaos, or roughly 1 divine, I've assembled for you a shopping list with treat site URLs that you can click on and just message sellers from, right? Making it easy for you to gear up a character. And to walk the talk, I use this for my second character. I'll also walk you through the skill gems, links, and skill tree for an entry-level version of Discharge. It removes all the confusing requirements for a full CoC build and lets you taste CoC Discharge on a very tight budget. Now, will it be tanky? No. Will it do tons of damage? No. Is it really optimized? Not really. But does it look downright cool and have a spin to win? Yes. Can it do basic T16s? Yes, with an asterisk. I think I even killed a couple of Conquerors by accident. So that's nice. Now, some caveats: you will need some extra currency to be able to recolor and 4 link items. You don't need a 6 link here, just 4 links. You may also need the regret orbs to correctly spec your character into this build. Let's get into it. In this section, I'll explain how this build and its items work. If you want to go to the skill tree explanation so you can start blasting, skip ahead to timestamp. Discharge builds are all about assembling charges and discharging or popping them as quickly as possible. Now, there are 3 basic charges: power, endurance, and frenzy charges. And the more of these you have on you when you cast or trigger Discharge, the harder Discharge actually hits and the bigger its explosion, which is what you see here. However, after the explosion, all your charges are gone, consumed, and you have to build them up again. Now, in this build, we use a very special ring, Romira's Banquet, and this is our first revenue stream of charges. Now, if you hit anything at all, be it with your fist or a spell, and the hit doesn't crit, you get a power charge. If the hit crits, dang, you lose all your charges for nothing. So with Romira's Banquet, hits good, crits bad. But that's terrible, you see. How can we guarantee that we don't crit? I'll tell you in the skills tree section. Now, every time you gain a power charge, you sort of enter a lottery thanks to our boots, Inya's Epiphany, right? You have a 25% chance of striking the jackpot and going straight to your maximum number of power charges instead. In this build, 6. So from 0 to 6 right away. Alright, so we have a chance to luck out, so what? Now this is when an absolute classic weapon, Mjolner, comes into the picture. You may recognize it as Thor's weapon, and that's exactly what it is. Should you be deemed worthy to wield it, Mjolner will, upon hitting an enemy, fire off a lightning spell socketed within. And yes, that counts as casting a spell for you. You don't have to stand still and cast it, it triggers and it casts a spell on your behalf instantly. This hammer is where our discharge goes in. Right, the discharge gem takes those 6 power charges that you built out and expends them for you, resulting in an explosion. And because it's Mjolnir, it does this for no mana cost, and you do not need to crit with it, unlike weapons like Cosprees or 7 Teachings. You just have to hit a target with the hammer. Okay, so it fires the 6 power charges. Boom. What happens now? Our amulet, Vol's Devotion, has this line here at the end that basically says, "Yo homie, we noticed you lost your 6 power charges. Can we offer you 6 endurance charges in these trying times as compensation?" And you say yes. You gain up to 6 endurance charges, 5 for you because that's your maximum, and now you have 6 power charges from in-ears if you got lucky. Now, when your Mjolnir next hits the target, you discharge 11 charges, 6 power, 5 endurance, instead of just 6 on the first time. And then this whole process starts all over again. And that's kind of it. That's a build. The rest of the items kind of just supplement it, but they don't power it. Now let's go through these other items and the role to play quickly. Expedition's End allows all your discharge damage, not just the cold damage, to attempt to freeze monsters, even map bosses. And spoiler alert, it freezes very reliably up to T16s, and this interaction or crowd control is literally the only defense we have in this budget build, sorry. It's also some of your offense, right? With your screen wide AoE and massive big CoC Discharges, most threats are frozen in place. And the exception to this are Guardians and Conquerors, so be careful around those and be sure to avoid their mechanics as usual. Ravenous Passion is a helmet that basically adds a ton of damage to you as you spin throughout the map. When you hit an enemy with your attacks, you generate Rage, which usually makes your attacks hit harder. But with this helm, it transfers that power to your spells instead. Barrack's Grip is a really budget option that gives you life and energy shield leech. Not that much, since you have so little life and so little energy shield, but it should give you a tiny buffer to work with until you realize your health levels are dipping, and then you can hit your health flask to top yourself off. There is another very good ring and helm option, and that's using Anathema, right, the ring. But that setup does require a bit of micromanagement, so for the sake of simplicity, I opted for a Ravenous Passion to have a more consistent 50% more damage bonus and 10% movement speed. Then you pop Berserk once a map, maybe at the boss, to amp that damage up a bit. This also has far less socket pressure than an Anathema build. Finally, this build does run only 3 rares, so it's very important that you stick to the shopping guide, use those links. The rare shield adds life, damage, and a +1 skill level gem at a very low price. The rare belt most crucially gives you cooldown reduction. Do not mess around with the stat. You need this stat or you're going to be doing about half the damage. Always use the link provided in the shopping list. And at last, the gloves. The ones recommended here are for Elementalists because the gloves apply exposure for you automatically, and then your Ascendancy scales it up by quite a bit. If you can land this modifier here too for cheap, freezes spread to enemies within 1.2 meters, you're locked in for a really solid and easy mapping experience, right? As you only need to freeze one mob to get them all frozen. Alright, we have what was that, 7 chaos left over. Now we're gonna do this. Now we're gonna do the skill tree because you can't equip items without stats. This is full reset. We are only going to be showcasing a character with 4 ascendancy points. That's how good it is. We're gonna go start down the right arm of the witch, and Pain Attunement is our first stop. We are a low life build. We get 30% more spell damage. We hit up here and take every strength note we can find because we need 412 for Mjolnir. Next, wow, RMT? What? Anyway, we do need to take every single AoE note, just these AoE notes for the memes. We're gonna continue up here and we are going to invest in Chill Effect and Glacial Cage because we don't do that much damage. We want it to keep scaling as we go along. We're going to be taking this last mastery, so the longer things are frozen, the more damage they take. great for low budget builds. We're going to continue up this arm right here, and we're going to appoint 1 point here just for a little bit of chance to shock. Going to continue across here and pick up a first power charge node here. Alright. Continuing up here, and we're going to go down here, grab the strength node. We're going to not take elemental overload because we never crit, so that doesn't work for our build. And we're going to path down here, grab a life node, a little of chaos rest, a life node here as well. I'm going to keep going down. Alright, take this, go by the bottom part of the wheel. The chance to free shock and ignite is huge because we do not crit inherently, and I'll show you why in a second. Come here and grab this power charge node and this endurance charge node. It's absolutely necessary for this build. Let's put on a Ravenous Passion at this point because whatever you can, it might give us some stats that might change your requirements, as you can see. Alright, we're still shy of strength, so the rest of this tree is going to be heading down to the strength nodes so we can wear our other pieces. Alright, we're going to grab 2 dex nodes and this part here to give us enough dex to wear our chest piece and also some support gems. Now we are heading down to grab some key, very key nodes. Strength, strength, strength. We're going to be taking these rage nodes. Make sure you select this mastery as well. Increase our total maximum rage. And this, if you don't take this, your build doesn't work because this powers Romira's Banquet. RT Resolute Technique makes it so that your hits can't be evaded, which means you don't need accuracy to hit the target. It also means that you do not lose power charges whenever you crit, because you never crit, right? Remember Romira's Banquet? So if you don't have that, it breaks your build. Come down here, grab more life, more endurance charge nodes. I think at this point, we're closing in on enough strength to wield Mjolnir. And these last points should put you across the line. Almost there, right? Just shy. Oh, we actually need int, so we're going to use this mastery to put us across the line. There we go. Alright, so we're going to head down the right side of the tree to take the power charge node here. Not the frenzy, not yet. Too low budget for that. And we're going to keep heading down this arm here. And crucially grabbing this Mark Mastery. So great points here, 1 to 3. Make sure you select the chance to gain frenzy charges on hitting a marked enemy. Alright, and then we're going to grab some extra life and a little bit of leech. So you can move this later when you feel you don't need this spected instant leech node. Helps out a lot with mana sustain. And that's it. We're going to keep scaling up the chance for us to freeze because we don't crit, so we really need these points. And as a Golemancer and Elementalist, invest in these points here. +1 extra golem is huge. Finally, as you fill up the tree, you can come here and take path up here. Get Holy Dominion, really helps with putting down the freeze. Some elemental resist. Grab extra life from this node, it's very high value. And that about completes the tree. Now I'm going to be powering through gems because the work week's about to start and so I need to wrap this up real quick. In Vermionia, your Discharge of Misery goes obviously, and then you get Hypothermia as well as Controlled Destruction. This works because we don't crit, therefore the penalty does not apply to us. Now to prove the power of the build, I'm going to be using level 1 support gem Spot of Lily because I know that's what you guys want. A lot of build creators with 1 div build guides use level 20-23 supports. That's actually a lot of power that costs a lot of currency. So level 1's only. But it does mean that T16s could be a little slow. I advise maybe try leveling the gems up in the T14. You make sure your chest is 2 blue and 2 green at minimum. This is for a 4 link. Your first link is going to be Cyclone. That's your main attack skill. That's what you hold on when you go through a map. Then you get Mana Leech. This is utility to keep you topped off. You go for cast while channeling. This lets you actually fire more spells while you're spinning in Cyclone. And your last link is Ball Lightning. Now you can actually use Ball Lightning of Static if you can afford it. It's 4 Chaos, really good buy. Otherwise, just use the one brought from Lily. Okay, in the gloves, we're going to put our Aura Gems. First one is Petrified Blood. Second one will be Vitality. And then this is going to be linked to Arrogance as well as Clarity for Mana Regen. Alright, place it in like this. Make sure Petrified Blood is in its own socket, not linked. Arrogance, Vitality and Clarity go in another link. Again, make sure Petrified Blood is not linked to the rest or you're screwed. Now next up in our shield, we're gonna have Mark on Hit here. And also Poacher's Mark, like how the spell. Poacher's Mark, this gives you frenzy charges when you hit a rare or unique enemy. Try to get this to 20Q once you can afford it. That's a shield, and for the last slot, we're gonna let you choose the last aura. It can be Zealotry for more damage. It can be Discipline for a bit of tankiness. It can also be Purity of Elements in case you got really bad res with no res. So also make you element immune, it's very good. Discipline is great if you're just starting out and want a bit more buffer. Alright, and in the helm, we're going to have a cast when damage taken loop. Put it in here. And it's going to be linked to a level 1 Ball Lightning. Keep it level 1. This is just to help you generate charges as well as free stuff. And then we're going to have it linked to Immortal Call as well. This is huge when it procs because there's so many endurance charges. It makes you really tanky for a short period of time. And finally, a Summon Flame Golem goes in here, anywhere in the gear actually. This is where your offense comes from. We're going to run a Summon Stone Golem that scales your ES. Flame Golem skills your AoE, this skills your ES and health regen. And finally, for the boots, we are going to keep our movement skill here, and that's going to be Leap Slam. You're going to want to link that to faster attacks, quality this when you are able to. It's a great movement skill actually. And of course, we're going to have Berserk in the shoes. This gives your rage more damage, as well as a Chaos Golem to start. Gives you, I think, like 50 Chaos Res. It's pretty good, this level of gear. Now set up your bar. Make sure you summon your golems once each, and then after that, just take them off your bars. Never put them back ever again. Because if you have 2 the same golem, does nothing. Right, set up your auras, activate them. Petrified Blood, it's not an aura, but you know, make sure you trigger everything. And that's it, you're ready to hit in the maps, start leveling up those gems and pushing your end game.
Now, mercenaries, be careful when you look at other guides out there. This league, so much of power can come from a very ideal mercenary. I realized this in testing that over half of the damage was coming from Fallen Reverend. So this section here that I recorded with my Elementalist, I was using Frost Ambusher. No Dorianis, nothing like that, just like 1C, 2C, 4C items on the mercenary. We have Perkle's Toe, Lear Cast, we have Algor Modest because my Frost guy does create a lot of chilling areas, therefore enemies inside his chilling areas were taking much more lightning damage. Very ethical damage scaling here, on top of some baseline chill. This belt right here, if you can get the Frost Ambusher with Summon Skitterbots, works wonders. It is, I believe, 5 Chaos to start, and it allows him to apply Scorch with the Skitterbots, that's icon here, and that sort of takes 17% of all elemental resistance off from your targets. So again, very good value for money with this mercenary. Of course, you do want to find a Fallen Reverend with Wrath and Zealotry. That is the best endgame, and then you give him Zealotry, Aura effect items, as well as Unnerve on hit and Scepter, and finally Dorianis, you know, and this actually lets you multiply damage by a factor of 4 to 5, but it's gonna cost you maybe like 15 divines to set it all up.
And that's it, 20-minute video. Whew, I gotta go. 3 AM and Bowie coming. Love you guys. POB, Flask, questions answered in the comments. Stay safe, Exiles.